Icy Originals here, back with more unusual stories. Old,
Fuck you, little boy.
young, and everything in between. We all love video games, right? I'm sure you do, right? Okay, anyway, everyone wants to make money, and it seems like nowadays, especially video games have lost a lot of passion, and microtransactions have created a portal into a world of power companies like EA.
Gay sports. It's in the gay.
Who only care about money, so they keep putting the same game out every single year. But that's for a different video. What about all the other video game companies that put their whole heart and soul into a game just to go bankrupt? Kinda like my YouTube channel, I put hours and hours into these just for your entertainment, so show some support and skadoosh that like and subscribe button.
Skadoosh!
Really, don't let me go bankrupt. Anyway, I've done vast research and I've traveled to the far, far away land that's called the internet. I've forgotten to sleep and eat for over 70 hours, and I think, to be honest, my kidneys are failing on me.
So hungry.
And on top of that, I've ended up soaking wet from head to toe by surfing the web for so long. Anywho, without further ado, this is 10 video games that bankrupted their studios. Number 10. Medal of Honor Warfighter. Danger Close Games. Medal of Honor paved the way for Call of Duty. It's just that simple. However, the series would come close to losing its steam when its main competitor came out in 2003, putting it in a very difficult position. Warfighter was supposed to be a bold new entry in the series, but negative reviews and poor sales mixed any hope for the franchise's recovery. EA, coincidence? Decided to shift their focus into the hugely popular Battlefield series of games, putting Medal of Honor on ice. Simultaneously, the studio quietly put a bullet between the eyes of developer Danger Close Games, terminating its existence. Which, to be honest, this is a very good game, and I really do enjoy it. You know, I really do like first-person shooters, so if you do too, you should go and play it. Number 9. Daya Katana, Ion Storm. 20 years later, John Romero's Daya Katana still remains one of the most infamous video game bombs in history. It was filled with problems during its production thanks largely to a rudderless team already working on several other projects including Deus Ex. One terrible marketing campaign later, and Daya Katana's fate was sealed. Ion Storm suffered a critical blow that led to a slow 4-year-long death as they soldiered on with Deus Ex, Invisible War, and Thief. Deadly Shadows. It wasn't enough to reverse their fate, so they just went bankrupt. And to be honest, I think this game is just decent, nothing crazy, but with a name like Daya Katana, I'm not surprised by the fate that they had. Number 8. Mass Effect. Andromeda. BioWare Montreal. For a time, if you looked at BioWare directly, you risked going blind from their sheer magnificence as a premier game developer. Then, things started to go pear-shaped. The developer wrapped up the Mass Effect trilogy with its third and final installment, which many fans felt was a disappointment compared to the near-perfect second act. Then came Mass Effect Andromeda. By all accounts, the handling of its production was terrible. BioWare overpromised and underdelivered on everything from scope to gameplay and graphical fidelity, ending up with a game that simply looked and felt too dated. Lack of communication between studio branches led to BioWare Montreal being absorbed into Motive Studios. While BioWare Ed Monton went to work on the ill-received Anthem, imagine spending 18 months and $100 million just to go bankrupt.
I think that pretty much sums it up.
That's crazy. Number 7. The Walking Dead Telltale game. One of my favorite games of all time, actually. It's ironic that the final season of Telltale's Walking Dead series would end up being the headshot that put it under for good. From the outside, things looked rosy, but the inside painted a different picture. Tales, no pun intended, but tales of mismanagement, lack of innovation, and an unnecessarily difficult game engine began chipping away at the company. The critical praise extended to games like Guardians of the Galaxy and Batman, but it wasn't enough. 90% of its 250-person workforce was laid off instantly with no severance pay and given 30 minutes to exit the premises. Not even an hour, really? It was an ugly end to a very unique developer. That's actually crazy because I think The Walking Dead Telltale is one of the greatest games ever made. I might just be a little biased though.
Nobody's going anywhere.
Number 6. Mavericks, Proving Grounds, Automated Games. Automated was best known for creating the hunter-killer game Deceit, but they didn't have as much success with their follow-up title Mavericks, Proving Grounds. Originally intended to be a massive squad-based action game with up to 256 players, it never saw the light of day. Early fan reaction was critical, which didn't help the game in the Fortnite PUBG era. Automated Games shut down their UK office and Mavericks was buried under the weight of other Battle Royale titles and it beaten it to the punch, well, in advance, which Mavericks isn't really a bad game, it just doesn't really reach that popularity like Fortnite, and especially when the PUBG era was coming out, so you can be kind of understanding to this entry. Number 5. Kingdoms of Amalur, 38 Studios. 38 Studios ended their run following the release of Kingdoms of Amalur, which was critically praised and sold well, but was masked by funding mismanagement. The company faced massive legal troubles after it reported that a loan from Rhode Island Economic Development Corporation was insufficient to cover the game's production costs. By the time the story had broken, the FBI had become involved and Rhode Island sued 38 Studios for a grand whopping total of $4.1 million. Even Wells Fargo and the EDC were dragged into the quagmire, resulting in a horrific legal mess. And horrific legal messes are not cool. Anyway, that brings us to a kind of funny entry on the list. Ghostbusters. Number 4. Ghostbusters Fireforge. If you've never heard of Fireforge, don't worry. The studio only released one title before going belly up, which was Activision's 2016 Ghostbusters tie-in game and the failed box office remake of the same name, with rumors floating about that the game took a mere 8 months to develop. That's it? The news was anything but a surprise. With 2 lawsuits under their belt and $12 million in debt, Fireforge bit the big one, filing for bankruptcy 3 days after Ghostbusters hit the shelves. Who you gonna call? The lawyers, I guess.
Who you gonna call?
Actually, let's move on. Number 3. Too Human. Silicon Knights. Silicon Knights is best remembered for bringing the original Blood Omen Legacy of Kain to PC and the original PlayStation in 1996. It would later produce the excellent Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem and oversee the development of Metal Gear Solid The Twin Snakes. However, it flew too high in 2008's action RPG Too Human, which released to lackluster reviews and hatred of the control scheme. The final nail in the coffin was a lawsuit between Silicon Knights and Epic Games over the unlicensed use of Unreal Engine 3, which they lost. Silicon Knights never recovered and filed for bankruptcy afterwards. It's getting out of hand at this point. Maybe they should start checking to see if there's any possible way they could get sued, but that's just me. Who knows? Number 2. LA Noire. Team Bondi. Love it or hate it, which I love it. LA Noire was a pretty cool detective game that made a lot of advancements not just in storytelling, but the realism of character facial animations. It was well received and sold great, which made everything that followed so much more confusing. Team Bondi sought a buyer in 2011 after it was revealed it owed over $1 million to its creditors, most of which was comprised of unpaid wages and bonuses for over 30 staff members.
Bitch, better have my money.
Unfathomable as it may seem, it served as a lesson regarding how deceiving appearances can be, and I actually really like LA Noire. It's got a good twist of mystery and action. If you haven't played it before, you should. And last but not least, I kind of think everyone expected this one. You think Game and Bankrupt, and you automatically think... Yes, Guitar Hero. Number 1, Guitar Hero, Red Octane. Red Octane is another unfortunate victim of a parent company with less than stellar foresight. After being purchased by Activision, The decision was made to capitalize on the initial success of the franchise by flooding the market with follow-up Guitar Hero titles. Franchise fatigue set in at a shockingly fast rate, and with growing competition from Rock Band, the once great Guitar Hero found itself in jeopardy. Lack of crossover support for peripherals didn't help matters much in an age with two kings competing for the same crown, and someone had to go. Activision nixed Red Octane in 2010 while Rock Band continued up in 2017 with the VR release. I'm sure everybody had tried Guitar Hero at least once in their lifetime, and don't get me wrong, it's amazing. I'm just kinda upset they still don't make it anymore. Let me know what you think about this list in the comments below. You've been watching Icy Originals, and if you like what we're doing here on the channel, go hit that like and subscribe, and make sure to hit that bell so you'll always be up to date on a new video. In the meantime, stay curious, and I'll see you later.